Hi everyone. Today I will be talking about the psychological and emotional impact of mass displacement, a focus on Ukraine and Gaza. Recent events that are happening right now, and that has been something that is impacting worldwide every country and every person. My name is Elvis Mendez, and today I will introduce the findings of my study on the psychological and emotional impact of mass displacements and refugees crisis, with a focus especially on recent events in Ukraine and Gaza. The topic seemed to be significant for me because behind the figures impacted indicated in media reports, millions of people are displaced, thousands of people are injured, and not only that, people right now are struggling with inner emotional and psychological trauma. I needed to understand more about what they endure, what those peoples over there in Ukraine and Gaza has been um, developing, has been, facing based on whatever is happening over there that is affecting people in a bad way. Beyond just the immediate threat, specifically, I wanted to know about the long lasting impacts and how individuals navigate these challenges. During my work, I learned that even when a person gets to a safe place, displacement is not over. The refugees have acute psychological symptoms, particularly PTSD, depression, and anxiety. To illustrate such cases by analyzing Ukrainian refugees, and at the same time, a number of studies have documented PTSD worldwide with a rate reaching 47%. With depression symptoms in more than 70% of the sample results. Most of them have difficulties with sleeping, panic attacks, and feeling of disorientation. The situation was even more threatening in Gaza. A study revealed that 96.9% of the Gaza refugees felt clinical levels of depression, which is devastating because sometimes we don't see how people they struggle, and because we are not facing that situation, we are knowing the situation, we think like, oh, it's not happening to me, I don't need to get involved. But the trauma that is causing those situation that is happening over there, the displacement that they're doing to those peoples, it affects completely the psychosocial being of the person, is affecting the family, is affecting all as a human being that we are. And specifically children are already being hurt, not just traumatized in the short term, but trauma that experts are terming as intergenerational. This implies that mental health impacts may be transmitted between parents and children in future generations. Five of the sources that I use in my research include European Commission data, World Health Organization reports, and the other sources were peer-reviewed journal articles. These materials enable me to compare the symptoms, risk factors, and responses in the other countries. For example, I discovered that Czech Republic collaborated with the WHO in offering thousands of psychological consultations to Ukrainian refugees. That is an example that the host countries can improve very significantly in supporting the other countries in those needs. What I found most amazing and inspiring was probably the information about resilience. Nevertheless, most of the refugees are very strong. It could be their group of friends, cultural background, or even religion that contributes immensely to the adaptation process. Family and close knit communities are important in Ukraine, and I didn't know that. Cultural practices such as storytelling and common religious observances provide comfort in Gaza. Independently, the situation they're having, everything that is going on happening over the world, and especially on Ukraine and Gaza, it inspired me how sometimes host countries help them in a way that we never imagined. Conducting such research opened my mind completely. My initial impression was that the trauma will be similar across different geographical areas. However, now I realize that culture, policy, and access to support systems can work miracles in terms of psychological outcomes. With additional time, I will want to investigate the educational experiences of refugee children within the learning system and how trauma influences in learning. It is one of the areas I believe later on I will discuss, and I think it deserves more attention. In conclusion, large scale displacements will undoubtedly lead to colossal emotional damage, but it also demonstrates humanity's capacity for resilience. Governments and organizations should be aware of the longer term mental health requirements of refugees and be prepared to do so with emotion, cultural recognition, and action. Situations like these make people and make companies, other organizations, especially host countries that they would like to help the other countries in situations like this, to make them prepare and to understand that we are not alone in the world, and because it's not happening to me, that situation of displacement, I know that I can impact others with my comments, with my support. And sometimes we don't pay attention to psychological um, issues, psychological traumas, but that affects in overall the health condition of a person. I want to thank you for listening. I hope this helps reveal a little bit more about how displaced people truly experience displacement and why their mental health is so important as their physical safety. Thank you.